Well, this video is not to impress you at all, but to impress upon you something that's very important. Somebody called me, and I've been getting a few calls from participants of my last workshop and from a couple of my friends saying that, you have transformed a lot, and we really aspire to become like you. And the question, although very subtly, is that they are seeking some information, and they are seeking some information about what happened that I transformed to who I am today. And to those who were with me about 6 years ago or 7 years ago or 10 years ago, and they look at me and they say, my goodness, what were you and what are you today? And this one question has been following me, chasing me, and I also wanted to speak a lot about it. And now I started thinking about it, but I decided that I'm going to do this, right, making this video in front of you and talking to you. And I thought I'm not going to craft an answer for this, but rather I would want to find my answer while making this video, and without any editing. And I thought, what could be the reason behind this question, and what are they seeking from me, and what is it in me that really impresses them, and what really affected me so deeply that there is a very noticeable shift that happened, that people started connecting at a different level with me. And what is it that I am influencing them with, and or what is that level at which, what is that dimension in which I'm really connecting to them, and I'm really influencing them. And I thought, to be very authentic, since I'm talking about authentic influence and authentic self-leadership, I thought, let me see if I can find my answer, and let me try if I can give some kind of an answer that would be very authentic and will be right, right or wrong, but I don't know, it will be something that I very genuinely share with you, with the thoughts flowing in the moment. And so I thought, I'll not fabricate an answer for you. I thought I'll not design and develop the concept of this video. Rather I'll just sit and keep talking right until when you have the answer, or I have the answer to share something, or probably there's something that I share with you, and at some point you understand or you get a glimpse of what actually is happening with me, or probably I'll be able to share with you what that something is, or what that secret is that probably even I am looking for, of what makes me who I am today. Now, when I've been making this difference to people's lives in a couple of my workshops in the last 2 to 3 years, and when people said, Mr. Ranjan, we find a lot of difference in the kind of workshops that you are doing, and the kind of concepts that you are training on, your style of speaking, your style of talking to people, one-on-one. And then I remembered that about two and a half years ago, when I asked a participant who was very regular to my workshops, I asked him, what's that particular thing that interests you in my workshops? And he said, your workshops have a reflective aspect, and to a large extent they make us reflect, go deep, and think on the fundamentals of who we are. And well, that was a good thing. It encouraged me, and I kept on creating such workshops and sharing my insights in the form of workshops or small training sessions. And then when I started going, I was giving trainings in the corporate as well, and when I spoke with managers and senior managers and all of them, and I saw that there are certain things when you share with them, you can see a noticeable change in the way they present themselves, in the way they sit and listen to you. And the same people, when you present some other kind of content in a certain other way, they are like, Yeah, we have heard about it a lot. We know it. We know a lot about it. So at that point of time, I started going deeper and trying to understand what is it that's actually bringing this difference in them, and what is it that changes the approach of people towards you and towards attending your sessions, or towards being present to what you actually want to share with them. And my first question to everybody who's asking me, or who really wants to know what is it that made a difference for me, and at one point of time I would want to share with you that I used to look at these expert trainers. I used to feel amazed at the kind of comfortability, ease with which they used to present themselves. And here I was I was sharing a lot of content. I was preparing a lot. I was working a lot on my body language, on my communication skills, on my confidence, and my research part and my skill part. There is a lot that I was working on, but then deep down I was not satisfied, and I was looking for that something which would make me equally influential like these people who were so calm, so poised, yet so confident, and yet so powerful. My point is to all those who are seeking this information from me, and who actually want to ask me that what happened to you, Ranjan, and what do you do actually to create the kind of influence that you have been creating in the last 2 to 3 years in all the workshops, and how has this evolution happened? My question to everyone who's asking me this is, what are you looking at? Are you looking at the skill part of what I'm doing? Are you looking at the content part of what I'm doing? Or are you looking at me? Very recently, most of you who keep following me on Facebook and all other platforms, Instagram, they know that I keep posting my insights in the form of quotes that I share. And very recently I shared a quote that if you looked at me and wondered how I did what really impressed you, you actually never saw me. See, when I used to look at these speakers and trainers and coaches, and I used to wonder, my goodness, how do they do it? How do they create this magic? What happened to me when I was listening to them, and all of a sudden I felt that subtle shift in me, that I started looking at myself and looking at life in a different way, and then it started changing the way I approached life, and I approached learning, and I approached treating myself or others in my life. Now, my question to everybody who's seeking an answer to such a question, such a thing, element in your performance or your presentation or your coaching or your training or your teaching is, what are you seeking? Are you seeking the skill part of that shift, or are you seeking the self part of that shift? There are three S I would like to call three S's that you need to understand. The first part, that the external, the outside, the external most part is the service part, or you look at what kind of shift they are making and what's happening because of their trainings and speakings. But that's on the outer side. And then you start thinking about what kind of courses have they done, what kind of certifications have they done, what kind of books have they read, and what kind of habits do they have. So this is all about the skill part, the second layer. But very few people get down to the foundation level, the base at which all the rest of this stands actually, and that is the self part. Now, my question to you, when you ask such a question, when you seek such information from me or from anybody, any other expert, is, where are you looking? Are you looking at the outer side, the outermost layers of their skill, their performance, and what they are doing, or are you looking at the person, the deep that's hidden deep within, who actually is doing all that? And when I heard to most people, they were focused on the what do I do part than who I am part. And this is, well, there's nothing wrong with it. I've been doing the same thing. I've been listening to hundreds of speakers and trainers, and I kept watching their videos, I kept reading their books, I read some of the magnificent books on the planet, and I met some of the most wonderful gurus and speakers and trainers and coaches, and only a handful of them I found were so close to their own real selves that they didn't have to make an attempt to bring some shift in their clients. It just happened in their presence. And I turned very curious. I turned a seeker to this kind of an influence. And when someone asks me, Ranjan, how do you do it? Ranjan, what have you been doing in the last 3-4 years? That we see this magnificent transformation in you, your speaking, your performance, your trainings, your sessions, your concepts, your writing, and your words, your choice of language, your choice of words, or your choice of topics, and the kind of trainings that you have been giving, and the kind of coaching that you have been doing, the kind of transformative conversations that you have been having with us. In a few minutes we feel that shift. And I started reflecting on this. Is this really something that I'm doing, or is this really something that I am being? And when I heard most of the people asking me these questions, even after 30 minutes of conversation, even after 40, 50, 60 minutes of conversation, I discovered that the question and the seeker, both of them are hanging around only the exterior elements of something that's impressing them at an intellectual level, something that's impressing them at a personality level, something that's impressing them at the level of generating a little curiosity, or a secret wish that I want to be like him, I want to do something like him, or probably provoking their guilt, as if oh my God, I couldn't do it for a very long time. I just wasted my time. I should have invested my time like this, and I should have done that. So in most aspects, I found that people are looking in the wrong direction, and I found that as long as you are stuck in the wrong direction, you are not going to find your answer. And I thought that if with this one video, where I'm not going to edit much except for a little convenience factor, I thought I'm going to talk right in your eyes, and I'm going to ask you a few fundamental questions, so that maybe I'll make an attempt to provoke you to think in the right direction, and maybe you seek your own answers and you find your own answers, and you get back to me for help from that point onwards. Now, if you're a real seeker of this authentic influence, probably you're ready for a very long video. Now, my first question to you is, what is it that really affects you when you attend such a session, where you experience this subtle shift inside, and you feel, if you're a teacher or a speaker or a trainer or a coach, you feel, my goodness, this is what I should be doing. This is how I should be influencing, my audience, my participants, or my clients. You can sense that, but you don't find words to express it. And that there's something that happened, and you want to replicate that, you want to create that. My question to you is, where do you think this comes from? Is it from their skill part? Is it from their experience part? Is it from their knowledge part? Is it from their behavioral part? Is it from their practice part? Where do you think it comes from? Now, take a moment to examine your thoughts, and probably most of the time you will think about only those factors which probably are on the outer side, but chances are you're not actually looking at who is this person who's actually making this effect, creating this influence? And the answer is not on what this expert coach or speaker or trainer or the teacher is doing. The answer is hidden in who this person is. And to everybody who has been asking me this question, my straight question is, what do you think creates this influence? This comes, after my exploration of my search for my own answer, I found that it comes from the certainty, it comes from the grounding that this person has in the understanding of what he or she is speaking, training, and coaching on. And this doesn't come from fake it till you make it. This doesn't come from the behavioral body language part. This doesn't come from the knowledge part or the skill part. This doesn't come from the qualification or the certification part. This comes from the direct understanding of what the person is sharing. And my question to you is, if you are talking about public speaking, if you're talking about body language, if you're talking about confidence, if you're talking about reading, if you're talking about habits, if you're talking about writing skills, if you're talking about if you're talking about money management, if you're talking about transformation, if you're talking about personal development, if you're talking about relationship management, if you're talking about law of attraction, whatever you're talking about, my question to you is, deep within, do you feel that you have the authority to even talk on this subject, to even share something from your own experience, putting all the knowledge part that you got from outside? Now, you might have read 100 books on what you're talking about, but that brings only the knowledge part. And when somebody says, I've read 100 books on a certain subject and that brings me the authority, I'm sorry, you still got the knowledge part. You didn't get the certainty part. You didn't get the authority part. You didn't get the credibility part, because you don't own the knowledge that you are actually sharing. You do not own the understanding which comes from an experience of having done something on that. Well, you might have gained 10 or 20% of the understanding, but that doesn't mean that you fake the rest 80% of the confidence just because you have the knowledge part. Well, if you're talking to people and if you're talking about positive thinking, my question to you is, what did you do? What kind of thoughts did you have? How did you deal with your mindset? How did you deal with your thinking? How did you deal with your own self? How did you deal with your family? What kind of choices you made? And how did you deal with your decision-making moments when you're pressed for life? What kind of circumstances have you faced that authorizes you to speak on hardships, that authorizes you to speak on tough times, that authorizes you to speak on positive thinking? Well, if you're talking to people with bad habits, my question to you is, did you have an experience of a bad habit? Did you go through that phase of addiction? Were you an alcoholic at one point of time? Did you used to smoke and you did something that you overcame? Or probably you still do smoke, you still do drink, but you know how to manage yourself so well that you can go out and tell people that, of course, I do drink sometimes, I do smoke a couple of times, but I'm not addicted to it. Or you are that good boy, you are still prone, you are still trapped in that good boy syndrome, telling that I'm a very good boy because I don't do that, I don't do this, and this is because of my positive thinking. It's like very long ago, I read from Osho, or I don't remember who it is, but then I read it that a person who doesn't know how to climb a tree doesn't have a right to speak on the experience of falling down from a tree. And then it becomes preaching not sharing your understanding and your experience. So if you really want to bring that shift in your audience, my question to you is, what authorizes you to become this expert on the topic that you are teaching and training and coaching on? Have you ever asked yourself, what is the authenticity that I speak with? What is the experience that I want to share with somebody who's listening to me? Have I done that? Have I gone through that phase? And if yes, then do I need a book to qualify me? Do I need a certificate to qualify me? Do I need a person to, approval of somebody to qualify me to be a trainer or a speaker or a coach? Are you expecting something in return for what you want to share with the world? What is it that you're expecting? It's not wrong about expecting something in return, because that qualifies them, and probably that filters out the people who just want all the free stuff in the world, and they wouldn't want to take the responsibility of learning from you. But the question is, what are you seeking that for? Are you operating from the lack mentality, or are you operating from the mindset that you actually want to see in the people, see in the audience, and see in your clients that you want to influence personally at a deep level? There are several questions. My question to you is, what kind of questions have you put across? How much of time do you spend with yourself? What kind of time do you spend with yourself? How much do you love yourself? And how do you manage your own self? What is the understanding that you have of your own self in order for you to go out in the world and make that influence and see that shift happening right in front of your eyes? Or are you just boasting about your language? Are you just boasting and bragging about your certifications and your achievements and your accomplishments, and bragging about what you have done in the past because of what all you have got qualified for? Are you truly looking at that from a relationship point of view? Well, you must be, I'm not talking from the point of view of charging them or not going pro bono. Well, of course you should charge them, because else they wouldn't take the responsibility of taking this path of transformation. But how do you treat that relationship? Is it a transactional relationship that you are into? Or do you really mean, do they really mean something to you? What kind of an experience would you want to serve them with? And what's the authenticity in your seeking of this quality, this trait that you're expecting to build and develop within? How do you approach your masters? How do you approach your experts? How do you approach your mentors? Have you spoken with somebody and requested to be their, requested them to be your mentors, and said that, well, I want to create a career out of it. I want to build a career out of it, and I'll do something. I'll serve you in order for you to mentor me. Have you built a clarity about what do you want to do for your mentors in exchange for what they want to, what you are expecting from them? Or you just want that freebies, free stuff, expecting them to pour all that knowledge and experience with you? Well, there are many who do that, and of course we would love to do that. But the question is, what is it that you come with? What kind of a mindset do you approach your mentors with? Is it, like a burglar, like a thief that you go, that you talk to them and you want their ideas, you want to pick those ideas out of their brain and install them in your mind, and you want to see that change happening like that? If that is what you're looking at, then you're looking at the intellect part. You're looking at the intellectual point of view. You are not looking from the wisdom point of view. And wisdom is not something that you can steal away from somebody. Wisdom is something that you develop. Wisdom is something that's born within. And you need a certain kind of understanding of how life functions, how transformation happens, to be able to create that magic in your own speaking engagements and your training sessions and your one-on-one coaching. So these are the questions that I asked myself, I've been asking myself, and I've been checking in on what kind of answers emerge, and I'm assessing those answers, and I'm assessing who am I being more than what am I doing. So it's high time you started reflecting on who you are more than what do you do. And that is going to bring that shift, not only in you, but also in your audience, in your participants, and in your one-on-one clients. Because when they sit and listen to you, more than anything else, they are experiencing your presence. And it's your presence that makes a shift. And what you should actually be doing is more of being. Well, this is a very abstract thing that probably I'll be sharing a lot in my future content or in my future talks and videos and my workshops. But this could be a beginning. This could be something that can help you look in a certain direction in order for you to become that transformative speaker, trainer, or coach. I wish you all the best on your journey to creating this influence, and I would invite you to join me in this mission of helping speakers, teachers, trainers, and coaches create this authentic influence through my work. And I'll continue to do that. Do like the video, share the video, and subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends and everybody who you know have a sincere desire to do something for this life and world and people around. Let's see what we all can do together. Love you.